Finding the ideal office in a place like Bangkok, I mean, it's exciting, but it can feel like a bit of a maze, right?
Yeah.
Getting that space spot on, though, it really shapes everything for your team.
Oh, absolutely. It's foundational. And that's exactly what we're getting into today. We're drawing on some really deep insights here from moveandstay.com.
Moveandstay.com.
Yeah, they've been doing this for, what, over 25 years now, helping businesses, expats, travelers find places across Asia. So they've got this fantastic ground level view of the Bangkok office scene.
Okay, so they really know their stuff. So consider this our shortcut, maybe. We're basically pulling out the must-know info from their experience so you can navigate the Bangkok office hunt, find something great, and hopefully avoid the common pitfalls.
That's the plan. We'll cover, what the market's actually doing right now, where the hot spots are, the different kinds of spaces, budget stuff, leases, which can be tricky, and even thinking ahead, future-proofing, all based on what moveandstay.com has seen work and not work.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's dive right in then. Based on moveandstay.com's perspective, what's the current feel of the Bangkok office market? What are they seeing?
It's interesting. They call it a mixed bag. It's not as simple as just, up or down. Yes, some companies are downsizing a bit, maybe rethinking things because of remote work.
Sure, that makes sense.
But moveandstay.com is also seeing this other trend, businesses actively looking for better quality spaces. Not just bigger, but better.
Oh, okay. So trying to make the office more appealing, like a destination.
Exactly that. It's a strategic move, really, making the office a hub people want to come to, especially if they're doing more flexible or hybrid work. And interestingly, moveandstay.com notes that prime retail space demand has stayed pretty solid through all this.
And offices?
For offices, yeah, flexible lease options are definitely gaining traction. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Businesses want agility, especially in a dynamic place like Bangkok. Moveandstay.com really highlights that.
And co-working spaces, still a big part of the picture.
Oh, definitely. Moveandstay.com sees them as really relevant, particularly for, say, startups or smaller teams. You get that collaborative vibe, shorter commitments usually. And they also mention that tech and creative industries are, really driving a lot of the current demand.
Okay. Interesting, Nix. So if you're considering Bangkok, where should you even start looking? What are the key areas moveandstay.com points to?
Well, based on their work matching businesses with spaces, they often mention a few key zones. ASOC is always popular, very central, great transport links.
Right. Easy to get to.
Exactly. Then you've got Sawthorne and Salem, more the traditional finance and business districts, lots of established companies there.
And Sukhumvit. That always feels like a really energetic area.
It absolutely is. Moveandstay.com agrees, lots of life there, loads of different office types too. But the key thing they stress is there's no single best spot. It really depends on your business, your needs, the image you want.
So it's less about just the address and more about how the location actually functions for you, clients, team, the whole ecosystem.
Precisely. MoveAndStay.com makes it clear the right location impacts your team's commute, client access, nearby amenities, even the kind of business neighbors you'll have. It's all interconnected.
Okay, makes sense. Let's talk about the actual spaces. What are the main options MoveAndStay.com outlines if you're looking in Bangkok?
They break it down into a few main types. You've got your traditional office buildings, right? Dedicated space, you can customize it, though. That means thinking about fit-out costs, basically the budget for making it your own.
Got it. What else?
Then there are serviced offices. These are more turnkey, fully furnished, equipped, ready to go pretty much immediately. Great if you need a quick setup without much fuss.
And the co-working spaces we mentioned.
Yep, those shared environments. Really good for collaboration, loads of flexibility, often easier lease terms, as moveandstay.com points out.
Okay, so you've got a sense of the market, the locations, the types of space. What are the absolute first steps moveandstay.com recommends when you actually start searching?
Number one, according to them, get your budget sorted. Like, really clear, realistic budget. Know what you can truly afford. Costs vary massively depending on where you are, the building quality, the lease terms.
And it's probably easy to just fixate on the monthly rent figure, but moveandstay.com likely says look deeper, right?
Oh, absolutely. They really hammer this home. You have to factor in the extras. Maintenance fees, what do they actually cover? Utilities, electricity in Bangkok can be a big variable depending on your AC use. building management charges, maybe even some local taxes. You need the full picture.
So ask for all those potential costs up front. No surprises.
Exactly. And then beyond the money, you need to be really clear on what you physically need space-wise.
Right. How many people, future plans.
Precisely. Current team size, sure, but also where do you see yourself in a couple of years? Do you need open plan, private offices? MoveAndStay.com advises that being specific here saves a ton of time later.
And what about the things in the office?
Yeah.
Beyond just desks and chairs.
Good point. MoveAndStay.com flags this too. Things like reliable, fast internet and good air conditioning are non-negotiable in Thailand, obviously. But then think about meeting rooms. How many? How big? Parking. Security.
And MoveAndStay.com also mentions some of the maybe softer things that affect the team day to day.
Yeah, and this is quite insightful from them. They talk about how things like decent break rooms, maybe a small kitchen area, even the air quality inside the office. These things really impact employee comfort, productivity, and just general morale. It matters.
Definitely. Happy team, productive team. Okay, so let's say you find a place. It looks good, fits the budget. Now the lease agreement looms. What does MoveAndStay.com say are the critical points to focus on here?
Right, the lease. This is where, according to MoveAndStay.com, you need to really pay attention to the details. Understand the lease duration, how long are you committing for, what are the renewal options, and crucially, what about getting out early? Termination clauses.
Flexibility seems key.
Hugely important. Businesses change, needs evolve. Having some flexibility baked in can be invaluable. MoveAndStay.com notes that leases in Thailand can potentially be very long-term, like even up to 30 years sometimes.
30 years?
Yeah. So those break clauses conditions, allowing you to end the lease early, maybe after, say, 3 years with 6 months' notice, becomes super important. And these terms are definitely things you can discuss.
Good to know. And the costs in the lease beyond just the rent. You mentioned needing the full picture earlier.
Yes, you need to scrutinize those additional costs listed in the agreement. MoveAndStay.com points out things like maintenance fees nail down exactly what's included. Utility bills understand how they're calculated, building management charges for common areas, any local taxes you might be liable for. Their advice is simple. Ask for a complete breakdown. Transparency is vital.
Don't be afraid to ask questions, basically. So you get this breakdown, you see the terms, is it set in stone? Or does MoveAndStay.com suggest there's room to negotiate?
Oh, absolutely, negotiation is expected. MoveAndStay.com definitely highlights this. Several things are often on the table. The actual rental rate, especially if a place has been empty for a bit.
Okay.
The lease length, maybe you want shorter to start. Landlord contributions towards those fit-out costs, getting the space ready for you. And definitely those break clauses. Given how complex it can all be, MoveAndStay.com strongly recommends getting legal advice before you sign anything.
That sounds like very solid advice. Get a lawyer to check it over.
Yeah.
So we talked about location briefly, but let's circle back. Why is it so critical, according to MoveAndStay.com? It's more than just convenience, right?
It's really fundamental to your business's success in many ways. MoveAndStay.com lists several advantages of, say, a central location, obvious one, access, to business districts, transport links like the BTS or MRT.
Makes sense.
But also proximity to clients, potential partners, even the talent pool you want to hire from. Central areas usually have better infrastructure, more amenities around.
And there's maybe perception benefit, too. A bit of prestige with a central address.
That's definitely part of it, yes. It can boost your company image. Plus, being in the thick of things often means more networking opportunities, easier for clients to pop in. MoveAndStay.com's experience really shows a good location can be a business multiplier.
But what if that central location means a nightmare commute for your staff?
That's the other side of the coin, and it's crucial. Employee accessibility is huge. MoveAndStay.com really stresses checking proximity to public transport, parking availability if people drive, and honestly, factoring in Bangkok's traffic. A painful commute kills morale.
Yeah, definitely affects retention too, I imagine. And what about the immediate surroundings? Like what's right outside the door?
Also really important for day-to-day life. MoveAndStay.com points out that having good amenities nearby, decent lunch options, banks, maybe some shops, makes a big difference to your team's well-being and convenience. It can even be a selling point when recruiting. They specifically mention Asoke as an example of a neighborhood that scores well on amenities.
Okay, this is a lot to juggle. Finding the space, negotiating, thinking about location, commutes. It sounds like getting some help might be wise. Is that what MoveAndStay.com suggests?
100%. They are big advocates for leveraging professional help. And honestly, it makes sense. Trying to navigate all this, especially if you're new to the Bangkok market, it can be overwhelming. Experts can save you time, stress, and potentially money.
So who are we talking about? Real estate agents mainly.
Yes, definitely agents who specialize in commercial property in Bangkok. Their local knowledge is invaluable, as MoveAndStay.com points out. They know the going rates, what's available, sometimes properties that aren't even listed publicly. They understand neighborhoods, maybe know about buildings coming up soon. Plus, they can help you negotiate the lease terms. They act as your advocate.
Okay, so they help find the place and seal the deal. Does the support stop there?
Not necessarily. MoveAndStay.com also talks about property management services. Their role goes beyond just finding the space. They can handle the ongoing day-to-day stuff like maintenance requests, repairs, dealing with building management.
So they take that operational headache away.
Exactly. It frees you up to focus on your actual business. Particularly useful MoveAndStay.com notes for companies maybe setting up their first Bangkok office or those without a dedicated facilities person.
Makes sense. And the legal side. We mentioned getting a lawyer for the lease, but any other legal points MoveAndStay.com brings up?
Well, they reiterate the complexity. Thai lease law and standard contract terms might have specifics that are unfamiliar, especially for international businesses. So MoveAndStay.com really emphasizes that a good lawyer isn't just about checking for red flags. They explain everything clearly, identify risks you might not see, ensure fairness, especially around tricky bits like termination, renewals, and who's liable for what. It's about protecting your interests.
Okay, right. So you've got your agent, maybe a lawyer lined up. You found some promising options online. What's the absolute next step? MoveAndStay.com advises before you get too excited.
Get boots on the ground. MoveAndStay.com insists on in-person visits, photos, virtual tours. They only tell part of the story. You need to feel the space, see it with your own eyes. They suggest making a checklist before you go what's important to you. Natural light, layout, noise levels from outside or neighbors. Take notes, maybe photos for comparison.
Yeah, you need to actually walk through it. And what should you be looking for specifically, condition-wise, during these visits?
Do a proper walkthrough, check the physical state carefully. MoveAndStay.com advises looking for any existing wear and tear or damage. Walls, floors, ceilings, any signs of leaks, especially around windows or AC units. Check the plumbing fixtures in restrooms or kitchens if they have them. A well-kept space suggests a responsive landlord. They even suggest a quick functional check. Test a few power outlets, flick the light switches, make sure the AC blows cold.
Little things that tell a bigger story. And you mentioned natural light and air quality before. How do you judge those on a visit, based on MoveAndStay.com's advice?
Yeah, they stress this again. Natural light is huge for mood and alertness. Poor ventilation, stuffy air that drains energy. So during the visit, actively notice how much daylight comes in. Does the air feel fresh or stagnant? MoveAndStay.com warns against dark, enclosed-feeling spaces. And they circle back to the AC crucial in Bangkok. Check it's working well, and they hint that some of the newer buildings coming online around 2025 might offer more modern, efficient systems.
Right, so a bright, airy space isn't just nice, it's actually better for business.
Yeah.
Okay, thinking longer term now. You find a great place, sign the lease, but you don't want to be moving again in a year because you've outgrown it. How does MoveAndStay.com suggest you future-proof your choice?
That's a really smart question to ask up front. MoveAndStay.com advises building potential growth into your decision. Think about, realistically, how much might your team grow? Will you need more equipment, different departments maybe? Choosing a space that can scale with you saves a massive amount of hassle and expense down the road.
So it's not just about the square footage now, but maybe having options within the building or a flexible layout.
Exactly. Adaptability is key. MoveAndStay.com talks about looking for spaces that could be reconfigured fairly easily. Maybe using modular furniture helps. Also, check the tech infrastructure. Is the internet connectivity robust enough for future needs? Enough power outlets, good mobile signal throughout. And increasingly, how well does the space support hybrid work if that's part of your plan? They also mention how layout impacts culture open plan for collaboration or more defined zones for focus.
And what about the green angle? Is sustainability something MoveAndStay.com sees becoming more important in office choice?
Yes, definitely. It's a growing consideration everywhere, including Bangkok. MoveAndStay.com suggests looking for signs of energy efficiency, good insulation, maybe LED lighting, efficient AC systems. Some buildings might have green certifications like LED or similar standards. Even simple things like decent recycling facilities matter. They make the point that a sustainable office isn't just good for the planet. It can also be attractive to employees and clients who care about these issues.
Okay, that's a really comprehensive look. So if we had to boil it all down, based on moveandstay.com's decades of experience, what are the absolute core things to remember when renting an office in Bangkok?
I'd say nail down your budget, including all the costs. Choose your location strategically, think access, amenities your business needs. Understand that lease inside out, and don't be afraid to negotiate. Get professional help agents, lawyers. And finally, think ahead, plan for growth, flexibility, and maybe even sustainability.
That's a great summary. And it sounds like moveandstay.com itself is a really valuable starting point for anyone digging deeper into working or living spaces in Asia, given that long track record.
Absolutely. That kind of long-term, on-the-ground experience is pretty invaluable when you're navigating these markets.
So as you, the listener, think about finding your perfect office space, maybe in Bangkok or elsewhere, what's the one factor location, the least details, future growth potential that feels like the biggest hurdle or the most critical piece for you to get right, something to mull over as you plan your next move?